My name is Tracy Jones, and I'm going to be reading my nonfiction piece called The Cost of Love. Chin cupped in my hand, I gazed through the small, oval-shaped window of the airplane. Staring absent-mindedly, I meditated on the unending cerulean sky and the swirls of clouds that seemed to carry us along on a lazy, white cotton candy river 35,000 feet above the ground. We were Haiti-bound. Beside me, Zach, my 17-year-old son, shifted in his sleep. We'd had to get up at an ungodly hour to catch the shuttle to the airport, and he'd fallen asleep almost immediately after takeoff. He had graduated from high school 3 weeks prior, and this trip was part graduation gift and part dream fulfillment of helping on an international mission trip. The rest of our group had scattered throughout the plane, so we had only each other for the next 4 hours. I sighed and glanced back down at the textbook resting on my pull-down tray, stress with a human face. Taking an online class, I needed to steal every moment possible during the trip to keep up on my homework. I had signed up for the stress management class back in the spring, either a freak foreshadowing or cruel irony of what would soon come. I again looked over at the window, my own stress-filled face reflected back as my thoughts turned once again to Denny, my firstborn. The always threatening tears from these past 2 weeks trickled down their well-worn path, even as I tried to blink, blink, blink them away. It had all started about a month before. Okay, if I'm honest, it had started a lifetime before that. But after years of begging, of fighting, of pleading, of rationalizing, of broken promises and lies as thin as the first freeze on a wintry marsh, it became clear that nothing but a bitter dose of tough love would work. And as his mom, I knew I must force-feed him the heaping spoonful of that awful medicine that might prove to choke us both. I had my grown baby boy arrested. Surrounded by heavenly-looking crystal blue seas that I had only ever seen on postcards, Haiti shares the western half of a large Caribbean island with its neighbor, the Dominican Republic. Early on, the French monarchy established massive sugar plantations throughout the country and imported huge numbers of African slaves to provide the necessary labor. This group of strong, beautiful, spirited, and spiritual people united themselves together in the 13-year-long Haitian Rebellion, in 1804 becoming the first nation to break free from slavery. Today, over 80% live below, far below, the poverty line, the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. Like a wayward child, the country has fallen far since her glory days. As our plane swooped toward the lone runway, the Haitian passengers erupted joyously, hooting and cheering, clapping wildly, and shouting praises to God. Unsure if it was a show of love for their homeland or the thrill of having arrived safely at all, I couldn't help but share their enthusiasm. We had reached our destination. Our group was there to volunteer in an orphanage for 2 weeks, founded and run by the most amazing woman I've ever met, Barbara Walker. A large woman, 68 years old, Barbara bustles around in her trademark blue gunny sack dresses, barking orders 1 minute and laughing with the kids who run and play in the orphanage courtyard the next. Her tough New Yorker exterior attempts to camouflage her golden heart. When I first learned of the work she does, I couldn't help but envision a modern-day Mother Teresa. Meeting her for the first time, I immediately understand why my friend leading this trip fondly refers to her as Rambo, in a blue dress. Always strong-willed, Denny could act sweet as honey 1 minute and then the next drive me over the edge with unrelenting arguments and attitude. Not that he didn't have his reasons. Their childhood had not been the innocent, carefree time I had dreamed of for either of my sons, with an early divorce from their father who had abandoned his commitment as a parent, and the later challenges of blending into another family, just 2 of their many trials. As his mom, I rationalized and defended and enabled with the best of them. I felt sure my love would eventually see him through, past the overly angry outbursts after a missed goal at the soccer game, past the manipulations against his siblings and parents to gain what he wanted, past the stolen change off the bathroom counter or the pocket of my purse. As he grew, so did the problems. Failing grades, larger amounts of money stolen, vanishing items I likely sold to buy the drugs I later learned he'd used. He was nearing 20, but my husband and I had invited him to live at home again to help him get back on his feet. We hoped that this time would be the turning point, that this time he would keep the job, that this time he would follow through with the counseling appointments I set up. I received a call from my bank the Monday after Zach graduated. "Mrs. Jones," said the brusque voice, "I need to know when you'll bring your account current." With her words, I felt the roar, the terror, the annihilation of my heart's walls, my emotions crumbling like the mounds of rubble amid the Haitian devastation I'd witnessed on the news in the earthquake's aftermath. My husband had lost his job a few months before when the dealership he'd worked at for years crumbled, and we had become another innocent bystander driven to our knees by the struggling economy. Because of this, our savings had already dwindled down to nothing, even without the constant stealing. I had checked online the week before and seen that once again Denny had siphoned off more money, only this time he had left me slightly in the hole. I confronted him as I always did. "If I see so much as 5 more cents missing from my account, I will have you arrested," I had threatened. "I absolutely do not have the money to keep covering for you." "I know, I'm sorry, I'll pay it back." I'd heard this mantra before. The woman's voice continued buzzing in my ear, my brain and heart staggering drunkenly when I heard the amount I now owed. Rather than a manageable $50 in the hole, as it had been days before, it now yawned into a chasm-like $700. Sickened, I slumped to the floor. The remnants of my emotions crumbled like chalk dust and sloughed away with my tears. Orphanages in Haiti don't necessarily house just orphans, as the name implies. Of the estimated 30,000 orphans in the country, 80% have at least one living parent who has given them up for adoption, literally choosing between life or death for their children. They have made this choice because of their extreme poverty. 2/3 of the adult population don't have formal jobs, and nearly 2.6 million kids between the ages of 5 and 14 supply child labor to help support their families. Malnutrition is rampant. Add to this widespread health problems due to major infectious diseases and a lack of medical care that exacerbates the problem further. The depressing numbers go on and on. No matter what social measurement you want to study, Haiti always seems to be on the losing end. I soon learned that hearing the stories and reading the figures is one thing, but watching them play out in real time is quite another.